Dennis here with doityourselfdennis.com, and in this video I want to show you how to use this Ultracolor Plus FA, which is made by Mapei or Mapei. I'm not absolutely sure how you say it. It's a quick setting grout, and it being said quick setting, don't get too involved in that. Don't be afraid of it. There are some people out there with videos that scare you to death, that you really got to hustle and have a crew to clean it up and that kind of stuff. It is quick setting, but if you just mix enough to spread yourself, you can make it work well for you. I use it by myself. I don't really have a lot of issues with it, but I have laid tile for a while, and so I'm a little, established on what to do. But so when you mix it, I just mix up a few pounds at a time. Mapei, if you talk to any of their technical reps, they tell you to only mix enough that you can do 20 to 30 square feet. I guess that would kind of determine also by what the width of your grout line, and also if you're using big tile or small tile or whatever. So I mix up. It says to use 2.6 to 2.8 quarts of water for a 25-pound bag. You would never mix up 25-pound bag. I mean, like I say, some of these people, they tell you to mix up the whole bag. I don't ever. I just mix up what I need. And because you really probably have to hustle if you mixed up the whole bag. So 2.6 to 2.8. And what I do is I figure out how much water I need per pound of grout. So I just go 2.7 because it's between the two. And you times that by 32 ounces, and it comes to, I think it's 94 or something. And then you divide that by the 25-pound bag, and it comes to 3.45 ounces of water per pound. So 3.45 pounds of water, or 3.3 pounds of water takes right about 10 ounces of water, just over 10 ounces of water. So that's what I'm going to do. And when you mix this stuff up, like I said, I've watched some other videos, and some of these people will pour the powder in, then add some water. If it doesn't look like it's too dry, they add a little more water. And that's really not the right way to do it. If you do it by their scale, by Mapei's scale, it'll come out right for you. Because this particular grout, as you're mixing it, it looks real dry. And I'll show you here in a minute. It looks real dry, like it's not, like you don't have enough water. But then a chemical reaction happens and it starts thickening up. Or thinning. That's what you want it to do. You want it to, it's going to be about like the consistency of peanut butter, or maybe a little runnier than that, but basically like peanut butter. So let me get some water in there. And I use a measuring cup, and I know not everybody. I've got a digital scale. I used to mail a lot of stuff, so I had a digital scale for that. So I've got a digital scale to weigh my poundage out. And so let me get my 10 ounces of water. I've got a little measuring cup. And something else I'll tell you about the water. You want to use cold water. I did have one contractor tell me that he actually uses ice water. He puts ice in a bucket or whatever, and then pours water into it, and then pours the water out of it. For this stuff, it'll slow down the process. If it's very warm out, you're going to want to get on Mapei's website and look up their technical, technical sheet on how to contend with this stuff. If it's 85, 90 degrees out, it's going to react a little different. It's going to set up a lot faster. So they're going to have some technical support that you can go with. It's not very hot today. It's about 65 degrees. And so I just measure out my water, and it's just regular tap water. And it doesn't have to be exact, but you want it to be fairly close. So there's 8 ounces. Now I just need to add a little bit more than 2 ounces. And I just, kind of just guess at it a little bit. Alright. Okay, so then I weigh my grout. So I weigh it. It's 9 pounds, 13 ounces. So I'm going to mix up 3 pounds. See, I just pour my, I didn't do it, but I really ought to have a mask on. So let me put a mask on real quick. This stuff's not good for you. Pull it back and check the weight. Let's say it was 9.13, so we're looking for 6.13. It was still over 7. So you just pour a little bit at a time. Weigh it again. I gotta wait for the scale to clear. Okay. 7.2. Just a little bit more. 6.14, that's probably close enough actually. I'll pour a little more in. $6.13, that's perfect. So if you want to come over here, and I just use a egg beater or a cake mix beater. I put it in a drill. I put it on this drill, I put it on the slowest speed. I want you to look straight down in it. Can you see in it? Okay. You can see the water in it. But in a minute it's going to look real dry. See how now it looks dry? You just keep mixing. And it starts thickening up. Now I usually do this for 3 minutes. So let me finish mixing this up and then I'll show you the rest. Alright, so this is it after it's all mixed up. You can kind of see how it is. And I'm probably a little more technical about this than most people are. I actually do time it. I time it on I got a stopwatch on my phone and I clock it. And I do it for 3 minutes. If you're doing a 25-pound bag, it tells you to do it 4 to 5 minutes. So I just knock some of it off and go 3 minutes, and it's always worked out pretty good for me. So let me clean this off. I just put my drill on fast and it knocks the excess off. And then I usually I got a bucket of water so I can stick my paddle in. I'll usually do it both directions. Alright, so let's go upstairs and I'll show you where I'm laying this at. Okay, let me tell you something real quick about this. Some people will tell you, normally when you do thin set, when you mix up thin sets, you let it slag for 5 minutes and then you remix it again. On this stuff, they tell you not to let it slag. But I know there was a video out there, and they got 2 videos out there I've seen, and they tell you to let it slag. That's not right. You start using it as soon as you're done mixing it, you start using it. And like I say, you don't have to be in a great big hurry. I'll get this wall done in probably about 20 minutes, and I usually wait 30 minutes before I start wiping it off. It says it'll dry within 15 to 30 minutes, but it doesn't really dry hard in 15 to 30 minutes. It'll start setting up. And I'll kind of show you the process to do. So you don't got to get in a great big hurry, but you don't want to fart around either. So something else I do is I take a little pieces of cardboard. Like, you're not supposed to put the grout down inside this joint here. You're supposed to caulk this joint. So where I've got a grout joint meeting that, I take a little piece of cardboard and fold it up and put it in there, and that just kind of gives me a good stopping point without squishing too much up inside that, because I'll come back and caulk that. So, and something else I'll tell you about my corners, I'll be adding a little extra in the corner. And the reason I do that is I use a putty knife. After it sets up a little bit, I'll take a putty knife and scrape that corner, and it'll give that corner a nice straight finish. So I usually keep 2 putty knives on hand. I usually have an 1.5 inches. I can just do little things, and then I've got a 4-inch that I use too. So let me go ahead and start putting this grout in. And some will tell you, like up here, this joint, some will tell you to caulk that too. And it's probably not a bad idea to caulk it. I just generally don't. I usually go ahead and fill it in with thin set. Because, you know, it's really not going to be seen. But you got to push this stuff in. Is my mic still good? So like the corner, I kind of lightly go over it to get the excess out. And then you're going to kind of go over at an angle. You make sure you're going to fill the joint in. Then you're going to go back over the grout line at an angle. See how there's a little extra in the corners? So let me... And you'll see that, and I'll show you when I get done, but this stuff will probably be still pliable in an hour. So you don't got to get, like I said, get scared of it.
This is a glossy tile, so it's easy.
All right, so let me get this finished out and I'll be back with you. Okay, so something you can do, use this little putty knife to get into tight spots like that, and you want it to be on one side or the other. You can take this putty knife and just scrape it off your trowel and just stick it up in there and fill that joint so that it just kind of helps you to get in tight spots. You know, if you need it up here, You can scrape it off here, kind of give you a little bit of control. But you can, just use your putty knife to scrape it off. Put it, if you like getting up underneath here, you make sure your putty knife or your grout is on there good. That's it. Okay, a couple things I didn't mention before. You're going to want to wipe, like we're doing this backsplash, you're going to want to wipe this countertop off real good, so that, because your grout's going to fall on it, and if you pick it up, you don't want little specks of anything else mixed in with it. So you want to kind of keep an eye on that. It's been about 20 minutes, so it's 1:47 now. So I'll give it another about 10 more minutes before I start wiping it. I know it looks like it's on there kind of thick, but it'll wipe off real well. Something you can do after you've gone over it, then I go back and I just add a little more to spots that might look like they're a little low. And like I said, this stuff will stay pliable for a little while. It'll still be pliable when I get done wiping. And so, you have a little bit of time. I know there's quite a bit on the counter and down, but you can clean it up. There's stuff on the side of the cabinets. Like there's stuff on the side of the wall. That stuff will wipe off. So don't worry about it. Don't get real concerned. So let me give it a few more minutes, and then I'll show you how I wipe it down. All right, something I wanted to mention about mixing this grout up. Something the technical support told me you can do, and I have done it, and it works out okay too, is if you don't have a scale and everything, you can mix it 3 to 1. So 3 cups of dry to 1 cup of water, and that'll work out for you if you don't have a measuring or a scale or something. Something you can do while you're waiting for this to set up a little bit is, let's look down here. I keep 3 buckets of water. So I've got 2 clean buckets of water, and then this is my bucket that I have a wet rag available that I can wipe the countertop off with and that kind of thing. So while you're waiting for it to set up, you can go ahead and kind of clean up the countertop a little bit. I try to not pick it up off of there if it falls on there. And so I think it's about ready to start wiping. And I've already wrung out my sponge. So, well, here, I'll go ahead and wring it out again. And what you want to do is you want to try to squeeze out as much water as possible. And you're just going to go over it very lightly. So, and you're going to clean your sponge a lot. So no more than that, I'm already going to clean my sponge. You want to look down here. So I wring it out in the first bucket of water, get as much out as I can, and then I put it in the second bucket of water. And then wring it out. Now we're ready to wipe this down again. See how it takes the bulk of the excess off? So we're going gonna clean our sponge again. Like I said, you're gonna clean your sponge a lot. It's a good idea to wear some gloves too. I didn't have them on earlier and I should have. You're not going to get it all off on this first go around, but you're going to get the bulk of it off. That's all you need, is really just to get the bulk of it off. And I'll show you how to do the rest in some of these other kind of awkward places, like around the outlets. Okay, so we've wiped it all down the first time. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to look for spots that are a little low, like right there. If you can see that little spot there. A little low there. A little low there. See, and this stuff is still pliable, and it's probably been 45 minutes since I mixed it. And some of these low spots you'll fill in when you shape your grout line. And we'll be doing that kind of next. So. Alright, so I just want to show you that, so let me give it a few more minutes to dry. Alright, so now we're ready to start basically shaping, what they call shaping the grout line. And so I'm going to start cleaning up some of the spots. Like what I was telling you earlier, I'll take my putty knife. What I do is I scrape it up, and then I do it like that. That gives me a nice straight corner. So then I want to clean up like the bottoms. Like I got some grout right there. So I'll go ahead and kind of clean that up a little bit. Just break it loose in like my bottoms like that. Same thing with my corners. I'm going to scrape these out where I'm going up against that trim. And like up here, I can use my little putty knife and just clean up the top. Oops, I just stabbed that. See, I just stabbed that there, so I'll add a little bit more thin set or a little more grout to that. And you can use your little putty knife to fill it back in. Now, I've got my sponge, and so I'm going to start cleaning it up. And what I mean by shaping your grout line, you're going to go over it like that, and you're going to make the grout line, it's going to take some grout out, and it's going to make the grout line straight. And that's how you're going to judge it, is by how straight your grout line is. You can see how this is here. It's all out quite a bit. I'm going to just go over it. Keep going over it. Till it's nice and straight. And again, you're gonna clean your sponge quite a bit. Clean the sponge until it starts caking up on it.
sometimes you'll see little pinholes in your grout, and you can just keep going over it, and it should fill it in. If you can't, just use some of your leftover grout. If there's an area right here, it just looks kind of like it's dry or something. Now it's nice and smooth. So like here on the cabinet, it's going to need a little bit more there. This cabinet's a little difficult to do. Get around. We'll fill it in. And granted, it's making marks on here, but all that'll come off eventually. Clean this up. All right, so you just continue that the rest of the way. Then I'll show you the next step. All right, so we're ready to wipe it down the last time, the third and final. And then we're going to wipe it down with a microfiber after about an hour. We'll come back and wipe it off with a microfiber, and it'll get a little bit of haze that'll still be on there off. So you just go back over it the same way. Huh?
Fresh water.
Yeah, you get fresh water, I'm sorry. You get 2 buckets of fresh water to wipe your last one down. You just go over it, and if you see a spot that needs to be wiped a little more, we'll go ahead and wipe it. You got 2 buckets of clean water that you can wipe it off in, and again, you're going to clean your sponge. Regularly. You want as little haze as possible. You can wipe off with the microfiber. See how you're kind of cleaning everything up. And I'll come back and wipe that down with a good, wipe my door down, or the side, that cabinet down with a dry rag. Clean it up good. Shadow. You just wipe it over. A little spot right there that's got like a little pinhole. So you just fix it. So that's about all there is to that. It's probably not necessary to show you how to wipe it down with the microfiber. You just wipe it back down again. A dry microfiber. So I was trying to think if there's anything else I needed to tell you. Oh, I'll show you. So it's been a little better than about an hour and 10 minutes since I mixed this up. And it's still, I mean, you could work it if you had to. You know, I can still make a ball out of it. So if you had a little spot, you could use this. I always wait to clean my bucket up until I'm done, or at least with the last wipe of the sponge. I won't keep it. I'll clean this up while it's drying. But you know, so you don't got to be in a great big hurry, but you don't want to get too much at a time. Like I say, just do 20 square feet at a time, and you should be fine. This was only about I'm going to say maybe 15. The whole backsplash was 29, all of it. So I'm going to say about 15 square feet. So just, just take, don't take your time, but don't get in a great big rush either. And give it time to set up so that you can wipe it and shape your grout lines good. That's what I like the best about this grout, is how easy it is to shape your grout lines. Regular standard sanded grout or unsanded grout, it seems like you end up taking too much out of the grout line, and it's not even with the tile. With this stuff, it sets up fast enough that you kind of avoid doing any of that. And I think that's probably what I like the best about it, and it doesn't take as much wiping. I mean, I wiped it down 3 times, and when you do sanded grout, it seems like you wipe down forever. And be sure and wring your sponge out the best you can. You want to get as much water out of it as possible. Thanks for watching, and check out my other videos at Do It Yourself Dennis.